What is up, Nick City Mafia? Yes, Friday, and you have a rush hour show. And why do you have a rush hour show? Because in 48 hours, boys, 48 hours, probably right at this time, we'll be having our post game to the Chiefs and the Bills AFC Championship game. And Jake and Cody, it's probably going to be tears, either tears of joy or tears of sorrow. One of those two things are going to happen. We're going to talk about some of that in this show, and just kind of what it would mean to get past the Chiefs. But we're going to get some analytics from Cody. And by the way, Cody Smith joining us. Cody, how you doing? How you been? It's been a while. You're looking something changed. Clean shaven. What happened there? What's going on?
Yeah, we're going clean shaven right now. Actually, just a little bit earlier today. So we lost the Derek Carr. We lost the Derek Carr effect a little bit, but
Yeah.
had to go back to this. But no, we've been doing good. It's been a while. I wish that we were talking about a matchup show between my Houston Texans and your Buffalo Bills. Unfortunately, lost that one last week, but wasn't our year. Whenever you're throwing out Jared Wiley as one of your three wide receivers in a game, probably not going to go very far in the playoffs. So that's all right. But yeah, good to be back on. It's been a while.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that. So, did your Texans exceed your expectations, or did they not reach what you're expecting? Obviously, during our show earlier in the year, I think you had some concerns, and yeah, let me know how they do.
Yeah, I mean, there was concerns along the offensive line, and that showed up all year long. There was, everybody's favorite Bobby Slowick that everybody liked. I had concerns there, and now he just got canned today, so that's going to be an interesting thing going forward as well. And he had apparently everybody's saying that we overreacted too quickly by firing him, but everybody in Houston is rejoicing right now. So you can take it either way. The national media will hate it, local media will love it. So, but no, I'd say they met expectations for me, honestly. Like I think they definitely had a playoff berth you had to get to the playoffs after what you put up last year, and they did that. But then, especially once you started losing Diggs, you lose Tank Dell, the offensive line was beat up during the season as well. Really to even win a game was pretty surprising for me. So I'll take the one win in the playoffs. We'll regroup for next year and probably come back bigger and better next year while we're still on a rookie contract with CJ.
Yeah, I thought they had a good chance. I really did. But then when I look at the stat sheet and they give up 8 sacks, that kind of says it all because you had concerns about that offensive line. But I did want to ask you the big narrative. Chiefs getting all the penalties, or Chiefs getting all the calls at crucial times. What's your thoughts on that?
All right, so we'll bring out the Chiefs gear a little bit early here because I did bring it along with me. So
oh boy,
have to put on my Chiefs gear. We'll do that for this one.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. So truthfully, though, no, the whole conspiracy with that thing. I mean,
that's great.
Do the Chiefs get some calls here and there? Yeah, everybody's going to get calls here and there. Do I think there's a script for the Chiefs to get particular calls? Absolutely not. Football is called in a certain way across the board. I just think refs suck in general is pretty much my take across all of it. And then, once Patrick Mahomes starts flopping around a little bit, and I do think there's a little bit of like unnatural bias to give him a couple more calls for some of these crews. But is there actually like this whole conspiracy thing that they're going to get calls because they're the Chiefs and because they have Taylor Swift and because they have everything else? No, that's not exactly. I don't believe in all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that on our last show, Jake, and I was like, you know what, I'm not buying it either. But because we even see Josh Allen do some of that stuff, Jake, and he gets calls. I think, I don't know. I thought I saw a show, and I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, Jake. That it was actually Josh who's gotten more calls for him as far as unnecessary roughness than Mahomes. So I'm not sure about that, but I thought I heard that on another podcast.
I just read something today, and it's like out of all the quarterbacks over the last, I think since 2018, the quarterback with the most calls in terms of roughing the passer calls, unnecessary roughness calls, is Pat Mahomes in the postseason. He has 7. The second most to that has 2. And I think it's 2 guys, and actually one of them is Josh Allen. So it's Josh Allen and I think Phillip Rivers. So people are like, he has 250% more. And it's not that significant. It's 7, right?
He's also been in the playoffs a lot more.
Yeah, exactly, right? He's played a lot more playoff games. So you got to put things into perspective, right? So there is that. I do agree with you, Cody. I mean, you can make it a little obvious, but you can't make it too obvious. I mean, we're not stupid, right? I think people out there are going to catch on eventually. I mean, you could say it's rigged all you want, but I said it last show. Great teams beat the referees too. So listen, you can't complain. You can complain about calls, but great teams are able to overcome. So you got to make it happen.
Tom, it's been a while. Good to see you out there. Tom's he's one of the OGs on the channel. He's been with us a very long time. So good to see you, Tom. Hopefully those Sabres, I haven't checked in on them lately. Hopefully they're doing okay. He says, love how Mahomes knows he sounds like Kermit the Frog. Has he come out and said that? Has he really said that? I know I
think he has. Yeah, he's played into it, which is pretty funny. So you got to love it.
Big L. I think the Texans could have won that game if it weren't for those penalty calls. Cody, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Really, the only problem that I actually have with the penalty calls is Walt Anderson coming out after the game and still saying it should have been a penalty, especially that one where Walt Anderson came up the middle and just absolutely put face mask into chest plate, and they came out and still said it was a penalty afterwards and tried to still give the refs vindication. That's whenever I have a serious problem with the refs.
Yeah, I agree.
Big Al, it's good that you'll be home for the game. I heard the news. So at least you'll be at home and you won't miss that and have any issues, no pain or anything like that to deal with. Well, there might be some pain. Hopefully
no pain. No pain at all, right? Hey,
yeah.
Cody, I do want to ask you too, just to follow up on it too, with Joe Mixon, because I know he got fined for like $25,000 for criticizing the officials, and they haven't even looked into it. And I guess he wasn't even the one that said it, and he still got fined. What's going on? Have you heard anything about that? Like, what's the deal with that?
I haven't done the full deep dive into it, but originally what apparently happened was they originally gave him a fine of like 25 or 50 grand for after the game comments for talking about the refs and saying something disparaging towards them about the calls, which, heat of the moment after game could fully understand, but apparently he didn't even say anything after the game.
That's crazy.
So then he came out afterwards, and then now they revised the language of it, I believe was the last thing I saw, to where they said, no, it was actually something you said in the game is why we're fining you. So I guess the refs basically went to the league and tattletold on him, and now he's getting a fine for that. I don't know if that's just to make up for the fact that they messed up the first time and he actually said anything. I don't know, but that was a whole weird situation.
Wow. Crazy, man. Crazy.
Wump Donkey, good to see you out there, sir. Thanks for joining us. And Jessica, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us as well. So, guys, the title of this was of the thumb is what it would mean. And that has a lot of meaning into it, right? What it would mean to finally get through the Chiefs, finally get this big win that we've been wanting. And also what it would mean for the Chiefs if they get through this. And I have trivia time for both you boys. Trivia.
All right.
There's been 8 other teams in the history, NFL, going for the three-peat. Can you list them off? I'm not going to make you say the years. If you have that, Jake might have it. He's just an encyclopedia of knowledge. But who are those other 8 teams that came into the season with a chance to three-peat?
Well, it starts with the Packers. They actually were part of the first 2 Super Bowls, and then they had a shot. They had a shot at the third year, and they did. I don't even know if they made the playoffs that year.
They missed the playoffs. Yes.
I was going to say, yeah. So they started it off, actually. So what a way to start off the NFL as we know it, right? Let me think here. So I know definitely New England is on this list. 03, 04.
Hey, you're not Googling it, are you? You're looking like you're looking at that computer.
Oh, no. Listen, hands are free. Let's see. The Broncos back in the late 90s with the John Elway teams, they had back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, back-to-back wins. They beat the Packers and the Falcons, and that was the famous this one's for John. And then after that, I think they missed the playoffs too. They went like 7-9, I want to say. Yeah,
so that was because Elway, he had won the Super Bowl, went off into the sunset.
Brian Griese took over.
Yeah. So, yes, they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yep.
Hold on one sec. So you've named 3. Cody, you got any?
Yes.
Okay. The other ones that I was thinking that I believe at some point in past, probably in that, was potentially 49ers, Steelers, and Bears were the other 3 that I had picked up.
So the Bears were a no, but the 49ers are a yes. And who was the other one?
Steelers was my other one.
Steelers, yes. So get this. All right. So this is a painful one. This kind of matches up what we're talking about here. 49ers in 1990 fell to the Giants 15-13. in the NFC Championship game, and we all know what happened when the Giants went to the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Right? Steelers, yeah, Steelers. This is crazy. Steelers had 2 opportunities, and so they won 4 Super Bowl in I think
70s.
5 years.
Yeah.
They missed that 1 year. Else they could have had 4 in a row. But yeah, so the Steelers missed the play. In 1980 had a chance, and they missed the playoffs after 8 straight years of making the playoffs. Then in 1976 they lose to Oakland in the AFC Championship game. So Steelers were right. Let's see, did we get them all? We're still missing somebody.
No bones about it.
Missing
Got
2.
it here. 92, 93 Cowboys. I believe that is correct too, right, Mike?
That is absolutely correct.
Yep.
The Cowboys.
Unfortunately, again, against the Buffalo Bills, right? In both those Super Bowls. So it's just brutal. Hate to see it.
Yes. And I think there was one other we did not mention. Maybe you guys did. This was one of the team. AFC East team.
Was it Seattle? No, not Seattle, because they lost. They won one and then they lost one. AFC East team. The Dolphins.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Finn's
Right?
back.
Yeah.
Yes. The Dolphins in 1974 lost a thriller to the Raiders in the divisional round. The Raiders were led by Kenny Stabler.
Oh,
So
man.
8 other teams. The interesting thing is none of those teams ever made it to the Super Bowl to get that shot. They lost in the playoffs or they missed the playoffs completely. Here, fast forward to today, and here are the Chiefs. They're in the championship game, and 7 straight AFC championships. I can't even wrap my head around that. Is there anyone that's done that, Cody? Has anyone done that before? 7's got to be the most, right?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Couldn't imagine, but potentially. I'm not a big NFL history buff, but maybe sometime back in the early days.
Yeah, I don't know, Jake.
I don't even think back in I'm trying to think of like some of the hate. I mean, the closest team to probably have done it may have been New England, but yeah, I don't think so. I don't think 7 straight. I don't think anyone's done that. It's pretty incredible.
That's crazy. Yeah, Jessica comes in saying it would mean the media would stop talking about the Bills being unable to beat KC in the playoffs and Josh Allen not being able to beat Pat Mahomes for sure. To tack onto that, no bones about it. I love the name. He says the 92, 93 Cowboys. Yes, you were right. Broncos were one of those teams as well. Yep. And let's see here. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was the Terrell Davis-led Broncos and the John Elway, the final game, right? The send-off against the Falcons. And then Brian Griese was the quarterback following that. And I think they went 7-9 or something. But yeah, good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Or him or her. I don't know.
It's crazy. So they've there was I mentioned 1 or 2 teams. I know the Niners got a chance to go to the championship. And I remember that game. I think the Giants hit a field goal at the very end to win that, which was a very close game. I fully expected the Niners to be going up against the Bills, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty big game there. And what's we got here? Oh, Good Morning Football this morning. Peter Schrager said it was boom or bust day for Cole Bishop because of Taylor Rapp being ruled out. Yes, we have some Bills news there. He has been ruled out. There was a lot of people on the injury report, Jake. I'm sure you saw that. You're like, what the? But everyone else seems to be a go. The only one I'm still curious about is Christian Benford. He did not practice on Friday. He is questionable. He's in the concussion protocol.
So according to the thigh doctor, who has diagnosed many Bills injuries and many other injuries around the league, he's saying Christian Benford's going to be a go. So fingers crossed. Supposedly he missed practice today for personal reasons. It wasn't due to the injury. So
right.
That's good news.
Yeah, that is great news. And then go KU. Good to see you. Go KU 1. Chiefs getting a 3-peat would lead to them taking a breath, mentally worn out, and not making the Super Bowl for a few years. Kelsey would retire. So there's that. I don't know.
He better not. I have a lot of him in fantasy teams. I can't have that happen. He needs
Dynasty
to keep going.
League?
Oh yeah, he needs to keep going until he falls over.
Shoot.
So does he propose to Taylor and they go off into the sunset and live a beautiful life after getting the 3-peat? Go KU 1. Be a beautiful thing.
Man.
Nobody can guard him. Then he could go off in the sunset and say, yeah, nobody can ever guard me. What a book, what a story for years to come. Like that's the first question I would, if I ever got to interview him. Travis, how come no one could ever guard you? What the heck? What were you doing out there that nobody could figure out? He's not the fastest dude, but he definitely put some moves on guys, and yards after catch are always, fantastic. I don't know, Jake. I don't know what we're going to do this game. You got any ideas?
He is honestly an artist working in space. They asked Terrell Bernard today in an interview on how they're going to take care of him, how they're going to cover him, and why he's always open. And he didn't even really have a good answer about it. He just said, just got to do your best, basically, more or less, right? But I will say this. The Bills had a very good game plan the last time they played the Chiefs in the regular season. Travis Kelce, 2 catches, 7 yards. The star of the show at the tight end position was Noah Gray, who caught 2 touchdown passes. So if we could do that again, that would be fantastic. I don't see us doing that twice in a row. Fingers crossed that we can make it happen. But I was looking this up today because I was curious. I'm like, Travis Kelce, his numbers are so good in the playoffs. I looked at his career average yards per game in a playoff game, and it was 87 point something. So for him to average 87 yards per game in the playoffs as a tight end is absolutely incredible. On top of that, he has the most career receptions of any player in NFL history and postseason history. So that's amazing what he's done. Really is.
I like this kind of.
Nice.
If they lose, she'll dump them and write a song about it. She only wants to be with winners, right? Doesn't matter how many he's won in the past. Losing this last season is going to ruin her reputation. Yeah. Bills Mafia want to see an 8-peat.
I don't know about that, Tom. What are we talking about? Sabres losses in a row, or come on now? Oh man.
I mean, Cody, you saw them. Kelce went off against your team, the Texans. What do you think, man? You do a lot of analytics. How do you stop Kelce? Is there, or you just accept that he's going to get his and shut something else down? Because you can't shut him down.
No, you can't. I mean, I truthfully think you have to get after him on the line, and I think you have to play him a little bit more man, because like him finding the spots in zone is just natural. It's like magician's work with him and Patrick Mahomes. He just settles in, finds it. If there's any scramble, finds just 10 yards of open space for some reason. In the game last week with the Texans, I mean, linebackers just looking absolutely lost. Like they weren't on the field. They weren't on the planet whenever they were trying to find anybody in coverage. Henry Toto, I mean, I don't even know where Christian Harris is. He went back on like his phantom IR injury that he's been dealing with all season. He wasn't even on the field. Henry Toto was just absolutely lost. They just get sucked up into a run, and then Kelce for 80 yards over the top. And I don't know what happens. Like you guys were talking about, he's not that fast. It looks like everybody else slows down as soon as he catches the ball. Everybody else just gets like so scared or something that they just all slow down and then just bounce off of him as well. He's incredibly, the contact balance that he still has to this day is just incredible. But yeah, I don't know exactly how it works either. It's some voodoo magic stuff that he's got going on, because there's no reason that he should still be running at 13 miles an hour and still getting that open.
That's so well put, man. You're absolutely right. I don't know what it is. It's like everyone's moving in slow-mo around him. You're right. 13 miles per hour. That's hilarious. Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right.
That was an actual GPS stat, like one of those next-gen GPS stats on one of his runs last week, where he hit like 13.56 miles an hour and hit 40 yards.
And to put that into perspective, most NFL players, I mean, we're talking even like defensive linemen, they've captured those guys running 16, 17 miles per hour. Like big boys. I'm talking like the meat in the middle guys, like nose tackles. So that's not that fast, man.
No.
It's almost like they're playing schoolyard football, right? So it seems like Kelce runs about 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, just turns. You look, it doesn't seem to be anybody close to him. It's like, okay, what are they waiting for here? Get on him. So he'll get the pass there. But if someone does start to close, he just starts to move. And then he finds another soft zone. And Pat, just looking for it, just knows the chemistry between those two is insane. But it's unreal, man. It's unreal. Yeah. Like, I don't know about you guys, but every game I've ever watched of the Chiefs, I say this all the time. How the hell is nobody able to stop that man? What do you think we got to do, Jake? What do we got to do? It's going to be up to our linebackers, I think, right? Or are you going to put somebody else on them?
I think you got to put a little bit of size on him. I love what we used to do in the past. Siran Neal, in my opinion, out of any Buffalo Bill that's ever really matched up against Travis Kelce, Siran Neal has done one of the best jobs. We don't have him anymore. He's with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are not in the playoffs. He's not playing football right now. So how do we replicate that? Do we put some size on him? Do we bring Cole Bishop down and play on Travis Kelce, run a little man, jam him at the line? You have to get him off his route a little bit. Or do you put Dorian Williams on him? You could do a lot of different things there, but you absolutely have to be physical with him, and you can't allow him to get a clean release. I think that's number one. Then just working in space. I like what Cody said. I mean, you could run the zone concept all you want, but he's going to find an opening there. He's going to just sit in that open zone. So do you run some man coverage? Maybe you do. We've been seeing the Bills do a little bit more of that recently. So that is a very, very good possibility too. But do I have a very good answer to give you? I don't. I really don't. I would just like to I need to go back and watch that first regular season game we played against the Chiefs earlier on in the year and see exactly what the hell we did, because 2 catches, 7 yards, we neutralized him to the fullest extent. But I agree, Jessica, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Well, in the division round, last year, Kelce had 5 for 75 and 2 touchdowns.
It's.
But Jake, if you said you had the answer, then you would be hired by an NFL team right away.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Same with Cody. I didn't expect a whole lot. It's like, what can you do? No one's been able to solve it. I don't know. So it's going to be interesting. But,
I was looking at. I just wanted to see like the history too with Travis Kelce against the Bills. So, it was. So let's see. It looks like it's almost on an every other game basis that he seems to go off. So I hope he's not scheduled to go off, because last game it was 2 catches, 8 yards. The game before that was 6 for 83. This is just regular season, I think. But the game before that, 8 for 108, 6 for 57. Yeah. So he's done some damage against us. In his career, averaging a little over, almost around 50 to 60 yards a game against us. So, yeah, it's on and off with him.
Wow. So it's she says, Jessica knows her stuff. She says it'll be Taron, Milano, and Bernard handling Kelce, in my opinion. All 3 of them.
Do you think we're going to run a lot of nickel then?
I'm just joking.
I like it. Okay.
Maybe put 3 of them on. I mean, I don't know. Let's man up on the other receivers. By the way, the receivers are Worthy and Hollywood Brown. They're at their healthiest, I think, as well right now as far as weapons go. Hollywood Brown was injured for a good part of the season. I don't know how many games he missed, but he's back. So they got those speedsters. They got the vet Hopkins, but he's been seeing less and less time. But you never know; they might bring him out. Never know what Andy Reid has dialed up for the Bills this game. Let's see. Tom sings, "I'll do 1,000 wooden nickels. Kelce has 100 plus yards."
Oh, I don't like it, Tom. But if we win the game, I'm all right with it. Let him have as many yards as he wants then.
Yeah, for sure. So, Cody, I don't know if you know, this is the 4th time the Bills and the Chiefs will meet in a conference championship. I say conference. Notice I didn't say AFC. Because there was the AFL championship back in 1966. And then lost that one. We beat Joe Montana and the Chiefs on our way to our 4th and final Super Bowl. And then, of course, you have was it 2020 was the season for the Super Bowl with Mahomes? Yeah, 2020. Yep. And here we are again. So, Cody, one of the great things about you, there's many things. By the way, thank you guys for making me look a little better. That's why I put myself in the middle. I got the youngster over here, looking good. And Cody, of course, has a smooth voice. He should be on airways all the time. Cody.
I agree.
So I forgot to ask you, but let people know where they can hear that voice more often than our show.
Voice is actually on a hiatus right now. I've actually kind of fully stopped doing content for a little while, but we're picking it back up soon. It'll either be on DD Fantasy Football or it'll be on the Fantasy Draft Room on YouTube. DD Fantasy Football on YouTube as well, and then the podcast feed as well. Right now, we're on a full hiatus, so this is the only time you get to hear this, hear the voice over the airwaves right now is when I'm on Nickel City Mafia.
Dang.
Beautiful.
Yes, you need to take advantage of that voice, my friend. Keep it going.
We'll be doing a lot of rookie stuff here. Like right whenever I was just coming on, we're looking at running backs and wide receivers right now, doing a lot of 2025 rookie mock stuff.
Nice. I like it.
So this might
Ashton Jeanty. What's the prospect on Ashton Jeanty right now? I mean, thinking.
Oh, I mean, he is truly incredible. The size, speed, and agility combo that dude possesses it's not probably Bijan level, maybe it's along the lines of like Breece Hall. He doesn't have the true like breakaway long speed of a Jahmyr Gibbs or anything like that. But as a total package running back, he's pretty close to a Bijan Robinson. Probably not quite there with everything put together, but he's right up there. Is going to come in as one of the best running backs in the league right off the rip.
I like it. He'll be a Dallas Cowboy.
Either that, or I've heard a lot of Raiders going with him early in.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
So Cody, we brought you on for many reasons, but one of them is because you're just that analytical guy, and I want to kind of unbiased. Jake and I did our show, and it's hard to be unbiased. Now I know I say that to you. Of course, your Texans lost to the Chiefs, but I know you put that aside. But can you kind of give a little bit of breakdown of these two teams and kind of what your thoughts are going into this game? And do you see the Bills having a good chance, maybe the best chance they've ever had against the Chiefs, or no, not going to happen? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I definitely think this is the best matchup that you all probably had in the last couple of years against this team, just with the way that these two teams are constructed right now. With the offensive line woes that the Chiefs have and currently going through right now, Texans really got after them with Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter last week. They had a total of 8 QB hits or 8 QB pressures on the game last week, and I think that's a pretty exploitable thing that you all can get after with a pretty solid D-line yourselves here. So I think you can probably get after the quarterback there. It's a running game. I mean, they've got Pacheco, they've got Kareem Hunt. Pacheco seems to have kind of worn down a little bit, I think, over the course of the year. I don't think he's as explosive just with all of the carries that he's had to take on. So I think they've almost kind of transition to Kareem Hunt being their main lead back right now. And then really only you got kind of supplementary guys with Samaje Perine and Carson Steele behind that. So the running game isn't all that much of a threat for me. And then the wide receivers have really stepped up, though. That's where I think that they've really excelled here as of late. Kelsey coming back, they've kind of saved him, I think, throughout the course of the regular season. So I think he's still at his, one of the healthiest he's ever been coming into the playoff run for them. And then Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown, he was out for the longest time with that like separated shoulder that required surgery or some kind of shoulder injury. So he only came back with probably like 2, 3, or 4, I think, regular season games. So he's still kind of getting back into his groove as well. So I think their offense, as far as the pass catchers, is probably at the best they've ever been. But with the line concerns that they have and the running back concerns that they have, I think this is probably the best chance that the Bills are probably going to have, at least on the defensive side. And then the offensive side for the Bills, I really like what you all have going on. This offense with Joe Brady is one of the most fun offenses that I've seen around the league right now. Josh Allen being in an absolute bag right now. I mean, I know there's a conversation of either him or Lamar winning MVP. If you could do co-MVPs, definitely do it. Those type of titles don't really matter right now. We only care about Super Bowls here, right? So that's the only thing that matters going forward. But playing the best ball that he's ever played in his career, love the ability to just go around the wide receiver room. You've got my favorite Khalil Shakir over there. You got a bunch of guys on the outside. We'll see if we get that. We'll see if we get the Amari Cooper game that I know you all have been waiting for to see if he really blows up. But then you mix in a little bit of Keon Coleman. Love myself some Mac Hollins deep shots every once in a while. We'll see if we get one of those hole shots to Mac Hollins down the field as well. And then even a little bit of Curtis Samuel coming on here late in the game as well. And then followed that up with James Cook going absolutely nuclear on touchdowns. He's been an absolute stud this year, taking away from my Josh Allen rushing touchdowns, which kind of hurts a little bit, but a fantastic year for him. And then best third down back in the league, according to Josh. I don't know if I exactly agree with it, but a very good one in Ty Johnson, and then Ray Davis going in there too. And then the offensive line, I think I saw something today that they have the highest continuity grade of anybody in the league from 2023 to 2024 in terms of total starts that they have started as a unit together. So that has just helped that run game so much, I think, over the past couple of years, and especially this year. That offensive line core has been able to stick together so much and build so much chemistry in that run game.
That's why we love this guy, Jake. I mean, listen to him. This guy's fantastic. Let's see here. Sank 7 said, I'm getting some 2006 Colts Patriots.
Oh, man, don't do that to me, Sank. I'll tell you what. I don't know if you remember that game. It was a bloodbath, I believe, in the first half for New England. They were up by, I think, like a few scores, and then Indianapolis came soaring back. They won the game. It was like 38-34 or something. High-scoring affair. But in that fourth quarter, they turned on another, like, they kicked them into a high gear, and they scored like 17 unanswered or something. So, yeah, if it's like that and we win, okay, sure. But I don't know if my heart's going to be able to take that, Sank. I don't know, man.
Trekker Vera, the best chance Buffalo has to bench Cam Lewis. Come on, man. Come on.
Unbelievable.
But Jake, I'll let you take it over for a little bit. My voice is a little sore. What do you got to ask? We got Cody on here. Great
Yeah.
analytics. What questions do you have for this young
Well,
man?
I want to know, first off, I mean, I thought you guys actually did a really nice job against the Chiefs receivers. Xavier Worthy, I think, led the Chiefs in receiving yards with like 45. So outside of Travis Kelce, I'm sorry. Travis Kelce was the dominant pass catcher in this game. But when you talk about their other weapons, receiver-wise, Xavier Worthy, 45 yards. I think Hollywood Brown, I don't even think he had a catch in that game. And then, I mean, was DeAndre Hopkins even on the field? I mean, going against his former team, too, you'd think maybe there's some added motivation. I don't know. He was non-existent. And, it's interesting because I drew the comparison with DeAndre Hopkins and Amari Cooper almost being like decoys on the field, right? Just playing unselfish football. And right now, their only goal is to win a ring. So how did you guys, neutralize their other weapons? I know obviously Travis Kelce had a day, but the other guys didn't really seem to do a whole lot.
Yeah, it was a really good game defensively outside of, linebackers against Travis Kelce. They had a really good game. And DeAndre Hopkins, I think he only had like 10 total snaps on the day. So they weren't even playing him. It's going to be, I think they're just playing a lot of 2 tight end sets with Kelce and Gray both on the field at the same time. So if you do end up covering Travis Kelce a lot, then you're probably going to pop open a lot of that Noah Gray, which I guess happened last time y'all played as well. So that's definitely something to watch out for. But truthfully, I mean, I think it's just a lot of man up. Like whenever you've got those guys locked down on the corners, you got lockdown Lassie, and you've got one of the best cornerbacks in the league in Stingley. I mean, you could just line up against those guys, and I don't think their receivers have that like elite one-on-one win ability. I think they have a lot of just scheming open different pieces and a lot of ability to just like Andy Reid being a magician with what he's doing, and then mix that in with just pressure on the quarterback of Mahomes, not letting him be comfortable in the pocket. But I think it's going to have to be, or at least I think for the Texans, is just a lot of man up and just absolutely beating the wide receivers on the corners. And then unfortunately just couldn't cover Travis Kelce over the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you get exploited that way for sure. I think it certainly hurt you guys a little bit, but the run game, they didn't do a whole lot in the run game either. I mean, Kareem Hunt led the team with like 44 yards. So I thought you guys did a pretty damn good job defensively for the most part. I mean, obviously, you let up some big plays with Travis Kelce and whatnot, but like, damn, you can't do much more than what you did. So how was it? I mean, they just kind of did what the Chiefs always do, and they just sort of slowly chipped away and
find your ways to win. And the offense for the Texans just couldn't move anymore. They just kind of foot went off the gas. You didn't have anything left in the tank. Like I said earlier, like Jared Wiley was out there running routes. We had Irv Smith from the Chiefs earlier this year out there catching his like first catch of the year as well. And then, I'll have my remarks about Bobby Slowick as well in the play calling game. I think it was just an offensive failure. Like you just had CJ Stroud playing YOLO ball, and that was basically it. Joe Mixon got his with 88 yards and a touchdown too, but it was just CJ Stroud. I mean, his scramble rate, I believe, was like 6% higher than it had ever been throughout any of the regular season games. It was just, rush it twice. You don't have anybody down there. CJ Stroud, try to bail us out. So that's where I really think like the level of offensive firepower that y'all have compared to the Texans at our current state right now is just, I think, such a greater step that the Chiefs are going to have to face this week, where I really think that edge is going to win out. And especially, you can have the running game, that James Cook running game, which I think is probably going to be early, but if you need it, that passing game can come on at any single time. And I think it's better than what the Chiefs currently have.
Oh, I love that. That's music to my ears. I do want to ask you, how the hell do you defend George Karlaftis? Now, he had a day against you guys. Now, I will say this, in our first meeting in the regular season with the Chiefs, he didn't do anything really. I mean, I don't think they even registered a sack in that game. So he's starting to kind of take off a little bit here. I think he had 3 sacks against you guys. He had like 4 quarterback hits. He had himself a day. This guy has a nonstop motor, and certainly a guy that we'll be keying in on. It's going to be a really good matchup, I think. But how the hell do you stop a guy like that, too? I mean, I know your offensive line is definitely, no offense, you're in a different category than. Yeah.
No, I think it's that continuity that we were talking about, or I was talking about earlier. Like, that Bills offensive line has really stepped up to be one of the best units. I mean, Deion Dawkins, as long as he doesn't get called for phantom holding calls whenever he just absolutely does a hand chop, which is a taught move in the NFL. I don't know what you're supposed to do about that. But I think he was also asking for an offensive line award thing here recently, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he was.
Do have to put it out there, Deion Dawkins. I don't know if y'all can reach him, but on Pat McAfee show, he was nominated for what they call the Trenchy. So he was nominated for a trench. He didn't end up winning it. I think it was Lane Johnson who ended up winning it for the tackle position, but he was nominated. So there is some awards if you follow along with that show. But the Buffalo Bills line, I mean, they have absolutely turned into one of the best units in the league, and I think that's going to be a little bit of the X factor to stop Karlaftis. I don't know if I'm not an offensive line scheme guy by any means, so I don't know what you do there specifically, but I think that line gives you the best chance out of about anybody left in the playoffs, maybe other than the Eagles.
I love that, man. Yeah, agreed.
Jake, I think we were missing Spencer Brown in the first game as well against the Chiefs, I think.
Yeah, was he out that game?
I think he was out that game. So to have him back, that's going to be a huge help against Karlaftis if that's the case. And I was talking to our good friend Sean. I think he gave me that information. Weston, Chiefs fan out there, looking at him proud with his little logo there. But to be fair, we played base defense the entire game in week 11. And Aman, who I say these names so bad, was out. Jalen Watson was out, and McDuffie didn't guard Shakir once. Yeah, Weston. I mean, in that game, there were people missing from both teams. I don't even think. Did we have Milano back yet? I don't know if Milano was back then.
No, he wasn't back either. Yeah, we didn't have either. And I mean, we were banged up. I'm just looking too. I think you're right on that. I don't think Spencer Brown actually played in that game.
So
that's another one.
Question about Karlaftis, that would be a huge help. And Cody, I like what you said about. So Pacheco also was injured, and I can't remember what he actually injured, but doesn't seem to be the same. But some of that could be because they had to move Tooney out to left tackle because of how bad they were giving up a lot of sacks on Mahomes. So they moved them out there, which which kind of fixed things. I mean, Pat hasn't been really hit that much since that move, but it does give them a little bit of a loss on the run game in the middle, and so that I think is what you're seeing in the run game. I'm scared, Jake. I'm scared. The one thing I worry about, I'm not worried about, like you said, Cody, 100%. The O-line is the best we've ever had in a long, long time. There's no defense I'm worried about as far as being able to blitz us, get to Josh. Josh gets his time, and then, of course, if Josh needs to do Josh things, he will. But Spagnuolo, right? Like, we can be up 21. Like, it feels like the Chiefs are down a lot at halftime. No matter what game you watch, it feels like they're down. And Spags makes some adjustments. And I'm worried, Jake, is Joe Brady going to be ready? Is he going to have some changes? I mean, I hear this all the time. I heard this in the season. Everyone's holding off on their playbook. They're not exposing it. Well, this better be the time you release everything, because there's nothing. I mean, you lose this game, you're going home, and it's not going to be good. So are you worried about that? I mean, Spags is the best. I mean, I see this guy make these changes all the time. So I'm concerned about that. I don't know what your thoughts on there.
I'll tell you what, I get it. I think Steve Spagnuolo, if there was a way for a coordinator to get in the Hall of Fame, that is the guy that should go in. Like, he is the poster boy for that. The greatest adjuster I've ever seen in my entire life. I credit where credit's due, for sure. Weston, yeah, you make a good point. Definitely a blitz magician, but I'll say this, Josh Allen, extremely good against the blitz. And I believe this year, I saw something the other day, Next Gen Stats. It was like the quickest time to throw of the season out of any quarterback. It was like 2.43 seconds or something like that, which is ridiculous. So, obviously you're going to be sending the blitz a little bit at times, I'm assuming. But when you blitz Josh Allen, crazy things will happen. This man, you're talking about another magician himself in Josh Allen. He makes things happen that no other quarterback can do. I mean, it's maybe him and Mahomes that can do stuff like this, right? So it's very interesting, by the way. Look at this.
See this, look at this. Whoa, Michael, you look like a big Josh Allen.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I've gotten it a few times. I did go to the Josh, and by the way, this video is in the works. I'm making a behind the scenes video. I did go to the Josh Allen lookalike contest held here in Buffalo. I didn't even place. I wasn't even podium. I wasn't even top 10. The reason why, my neighbor, Reggie, who we had on the show, ended up coming in second place. He absolutely killed it. We gave him a lot of love, and it ran away with, I mean, it was on so many different social media accounts and whatnot, but people were fired up about it. So thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mistakenly call him Josh so many times. When I look at his face, I see Josh Allen. I don't know. If I put $1 in the jar every time I said that, we'd have a big party, Jake. We'd have a big party.
It's awesome.
Yeah, so that's one of the things they have on their side. But we'll see. I mean, again, the O-line. I am the most comfortable with the team. I agree with you, Cody. This is our best chance. This is the team that nobody expected to do much at the beginning of the season. Jake, I know you predicted 12-5. I think I was about 11-6, but we all had a little bit of doubt, man. When you lose your top two wide receivers, 1 and 2, and you give up Mitch Morris at your center, you're like, oh man, because usually when any type of offensive line change takes a while to adjust. But man, it didn't take long for Connor McGovern to slide over. David Edwards just go over to the left guard and just continue to kill it. And so again, that gives me a lot of confidence going into this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy to think that Connor McGovern has had a better season this year at center in a position that he's played before in his career. Don't get it twisted, but he hasn't played it in quite some time. That's a tough adjustment to go from guard to center, right? But he's had a better year this year than I think Mitch Morris had last year. So that was definitely an area of concern. And then obviously David Edwards playing left guard. He was just utilized basically on heavy packages last year. This year he's done a pretty solid job at left guard as well. So the offensive line, I think credit where credit's due to Aaron Cromer. He's unbelievable. One of the best O-line coaches in football. But the offensive line, just in general, I think, Cody, you made a great point. Just the consistency and the amount of starts that these guys have had together, developing that chemistry, it's very important and it goes a long way.
Yeah. Steve, I don't think the team that opens the playbook wins. I believe the game is totally attitude driven and will be won with execution and a chip in your shoulder attitude. Yeah. I guess what I was saying, Steve, like, we had a nice lead against the Ravens, 21-10. Right. I'm like, dude, we get the ball at half. Let's go down and put the nail in the coffin. 3 and out when we get the ball. And it was like they weren't very aggressive at all. Wasn't very creative on the play calling. And then we get the ball back again and we go 6 and out. And next thing you know, it's a 21-19 game. Baltimore's right back in it. And here we go. Roller coaster ride. Hart giving me some issues the rest of the game. So good point there, Steve. Steve, who are you for? Are you for Chiefs or are you for the Bills?
Yeah, curious.
Yeah. On the playbook thing, though, I will say, like, the one X factor I would have for the Chiefs on it and actually opening up the playbook might being a factor. Andy Reid in the red zone is a dirty, dirty dog. That guy will draw up stuff that you have never seen before, and he will throw it out there. You'll go in a ring around the rosy, and you'll just have a touchdown out of nowhere in the red zone. That's some absolutely crazy stuff. So if there is going to be open up the playbook and throw everything out there, Andy Reid in the red zone scares me.
I mean, it was against you guys when he played in Las Vegas. I think it was your last year with the Raiders, Cody. Just did the ring around the rosy play just to add some insult to injury. I think they got flagged on that play, I want to say. But, yeah, the creativity is next level with him, man. It's unreal. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think good point, Steve. And I think the team that, no mistakes, that's how the Bills got the win there. Bills being the biggest turnover differential team in the league. It's not even close. That's not, like I said, I was so upset when people are like, oh, the Bills got lucky. Yeah, they didn't win that game. Ravens lost that game. Well, they forced those 3 turnovers. So don't get it wrong. This is something they've been doing every game all year long. And it's not even close in the turnover differential. The next team closest to them is 9 or 10 behind them. And then it falls off even steeper, Jake. So I think the turnover differential will be big as well. Did you know, since the game that they lost to Buffalo, apparently they haven't had a turnover.
Wow.
And I think we only had 1. So both teams, they play a similar style, Jake, don't they? Similar.
They do, yeah. And it's funny, I brought this up in the last show. When you look at the 4 teams that won over this past weekend, right? It wasn't the team that had the most total yards or the flashiest team by any means. Actually, some boring football played out of these winning teams, right?
Yeah.
It was the team that just didn't turn the ball over or turned the ball over less than the other team, I should say. So that's right. Bundle Ruski. If I have to listen, great commercial. Don't get me wrong. But how many times, man, like that commercial it's nonstop. It's gotta end. It's gotta end. Please. Weston, how are we feeling about the commercials? Listen, I get it. Chiefs are in the limelight a lot. Although I do feel like even though after that loss to the Bills, it kind of died down a little bit. You know, they were still winning games, doing their thing, but is this not the quietest 15-2 team we may have ever seen? I mean, outside of maybe like the Vikings and Lions. I mean, Lions went 15-2, Vikings went 14-3. The Lions were pretty loud, right? But the Vikings, I felt like they were kind of under the radar too. But it's interesting, you know, they went 15-2. Now the Chiefs are back in the limelight. They're getting all the love and whatnot still. And maybe some are even saying they're getting a lot of disrespect. I feel like Chiefs fans feel like they're being disrespected because they haven't been propped up on this stage, and everyone seems to think that they're a little bit more beatable this year, although they've been still managing to win games.
I think we've been hearing that. I think we've been hearing that, you know, over the last couple of years, ever since they lost Tyreek Hill.
Yeah,
right.
That's
so,
true.
Like last year, I think we were singing the same tune. This is the year to beat them. They flip a switch.
But the thing was, they had Taylor Swift last year, so there was something that was giving them the attention still in the media.
But
right?
now they have
this year it's
been Clark and Taylor Swift. How do you beat that, Jake? Tough. As I was saying, Haley Steinfeld needs to show up. We need to get some support. She needs to go in there. She needs to go into the next box seat over from Taylor and Caitlin and just be like,
start a feud.
Start a feud. Like,
you know what?
I don't want to cuss, but I'm just saying, girls, that's my man down there, and he's whooping your man's butt today. So I'll keep it clean.
Listen, I love how under the radar she's been. I think she's helped Josh get to this level, right? So we don't want to disturb the waters by anything. You know, we don't want any of that. None of that smoke.
Steve, good point. Kincaid did drop that one. A little bit of a difficult. It wasn't a Mark Andrews drop, but yeah, you're right. That would have kept things going.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Sup, fam? Sarah. Hi, Steve.
I love that profile picture, by the way, Josh Allen lateraling there. By the way, he was asked this week if he thought about lateraling to James Cook on that play.
Oh, yeah.
And he gave a little smirk.
I saw that.
It's pretty good.
That was hysterical. He said, no. And they said, would the younger Josh Allen have done it? Yeah, he would have done it. For sure. He says, I might have thought about it, but no, I didn't do it. It was so funny. You got to see that. It was great.
It was great. Yeah, for sure.
Winning 15 games in close fashion will end up being their demise. When you win, you self-evaluate less and become complacent. The Chiefs will lose this weekend and learn. Let's go, Steve. I love what you're saying.
Yeah,
Sarah, getting gang tackled left. It did look similar, so I see why you drew that connection. And Weston. By the way, we can say this a lot of times. If you're new to the channel, drop a nickel on that subscribe button and, or smash that like button for us. It goes a long way. Weston, trying to defend his Chiefs. He says, it's just like Brady and Pats. They weren't always sexy, but when they were 12-4 and 13-3, wasn't the most flashy thing, but they knew how to win over and over.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I mean, Brady won it early in his career with David Patton, rest in peace. Deion Branch, not household names, right? It wasn't until later on in his career that he had Gronk and Edelman and those other guys, right? He kind of had a similar situation where he's throwing to these, decent players, but not these superstars, but very interesting comp for sure.
What else you got for us, Cody? You got anything? You got else? Any other nuggets for us? Nuggets of information that we can have Jake take over to One Bills Drive because he lives like 5 minutes.
7 minutes. 7 minutes away, baby.
So I think the two biggest things for me always, if you're gonna use anybody highlight players on the Bills, let's use some Khalil Shakira and some Ramon Walters and Jamar Davis. Anytime you can get those guys, then also, if we can get some Quentin Morris and some Reggie Gilliam in there too, we always love seeing those absolutely not in a bad way, but they're buried on the depth chart, but if you can come out and make a big splash play with one of those guys as well, definitely love that. I mean, I got one more. I'm pretty pro Bills here, honestly. Like I've kind of turned against the Chiefs a little bit, so sorry if I'm not defending that side a little bit more for y'all out there. Weston specifically. But, you know, I do have one other thing very early in the season, whenever Josh Allen was on the green light, I think it's Chris Long's podcast, said there was one difference that Dalton Kincaid had given him to. And kids, if you're out there, definitely don't do this. But he said a difference in what he had this year was to pick up some Citrusins and pluck some of those in.
I love where you're going with that.
Josh, maybe throw in a couple of extra Citrusins this week and see if that helps put you over the edge.
There we go.
So,
yeah.
Educate me. Citrus ins? What are we talking about?
Zins, Mike. Zins.
It's a nicotine pouch.
Gotcha.
We're right up here, right down here. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I'm a Lucy Breakers guy myself here, Cody, but I'll dabble with some Zins every once in a while too. I'm not opposed. But yeah, absolutely. There was something I wanted to say about that too. Josh Allen. Yeah, you talked about the Zins, right? Have you ever seen another man effortlessly just rip smelling salts and go back out on the field? I mean, that's another thing too. This guy's just ripping smelling salts, throwing on the ground, getting out on the field. I mean, it's like just grit, just pure grit from this guy.
I mean, yeah, going back to the first game, whenever Houston Texans played Buffalo Bills earlier, he was completely concussed. And somehow, while concussed, they threw a smelling salt into him and he got back up and kept going out there. Out cold on the field. No concussion protocol, just rip that smelling salt. Oh, yeah.
It definitely, that was sketchy. I gotta say, I don't know if any other quarterback is having that happen. You know, like there was one play he missed and then he came right back in.
Yeah, wild. Maybe do those while conscious for the rest of the playoff run, Josh.
Right, exactly.
Hey Jake, if OKU1 is correct on this, Chiefs put a picture of Josh Allen on the sleds to get motivated to sack him. What are the Buffalo Bills doing to get motivated to sack Pat Mahomes?
Oh man. I don't know. Maybe a little Kermit the Frog doll. Everyone's got a tag. I don't know. Listen, I have nothing but respect for Pat Mahomes. Yeah. I mean, he himself, while Josh is very good at playing escape artist, Pat Mahomes has done it quite a few times. Now there are some rumor mills out there saying, or I think it was already listed on the injury report with an ankle injury, right? So that's coming up again, of course. But we all know when it's game time, this guy doesn't care. Pain doesn't matter to him. He is just as, not as much of an escape artist as Josh is, but he in his own right is. So, for sure.
Yeah, Sank with a good comment here. McDermott in great form, too, when it comes to decision making.
This year he has been. I agree. I think there's still been those calls where it's like, take the points here, kick a field goal. I hate the defensive timeouts are still a little frustrating at times, but it has been his best year by far, in my opinion, with that.
Yeah, when you think about the title of the thumbnail, what it will mean, this will be huge for McDermott. Kind of get those, everyone's been saying, how many times do you hear the fire McDermott after the season ends? He's not aggressive enough. This would be just huge for him. I mean, I've always been a fan of his. He, I know people don't like to hear, he got us back into playoff football. That can only go so long. I don't know. The Steelers coach, by the way, were there any moves made there? The Tomlins, is he still
He's still there.
Coach?
Oh yeah, he's still there.
We did just get Brian Schottenheimer signed to the Dallas Cowboys as their head coach. So that just broke here a little bit ago.
Interesting.
Interesting hire. Very interesting. What do we think about that? Real quick.
I don't know why you get rid of, or you basically just let McCarthy go and then promote up, just keep everything the same, but then fire it doesn't make sense. But
not at all. Yeah.
Jerry Jones is an enigma. You kind of need somebody in that building that knows what's going to be going on. So, honestly, their offense wasn't that bad. Like, it was just Dak Prescott was out. They were doing all right enough there. So there's a lot of respect around the league for Brian Schottenheimer. I know media will absolutely kill them for it. I don't think it's probably as bad as it's going to be made out to be, but it's certainly interesting, and they operate weirdly.
They do. You know what? Great bloodlines. Marty Schottenheimer, rest in peace. That's his son. All right, this guy knows ball like no other, okay? So don't get it twisted. He is a very good OC, in my opinion. So I think it'll be good, but it's an interesting transition. I felt like they would go with someone a little flashier, but also when you think of how the organization is run and how Jerry likes to run it and basically take control of everything, I guess you don't really need that guy, right? They haven't really had that guy since, you can call Parcells flashy, but he's old school, right? Jimmy Johnson, you might have to go all the way back to the Jimmy Johnson days. So, yeah.
So, Steve, you were in Rich Stadium at the time to see the 51-3 victory. First time.
Oh, that's awesome, Steve.
That's amazing.
I like it. Very nice.
So we got in here. The only team I hate in the AFC, Weston, and always got to bring up Denver and Cincinnati. You don't have to worry about them. They're gone. And Blake saying, oh, first of all, Blake said, you can't get a concussion if you're railing, smelling salts. So, all right, that's good to know.
It's true.
Maybe we should have some more Bills do this because we got Ray Davis last week or 2 weeks ago, and Benford this week. Get those
scientifically proven.
Scientifically proven. I'm hoping the Texans fill their OC position with this up and coming out of Boston College.
History repeats itself.
I know him. He does not mean that.
No, not at all. Not at all. Listen, what are your thoughts on Bill O'Brien?
Head coach is definitely interesting. Like you're gonna have to take a lot of. He's kind of like the Dayball. He's kind of like a Dayball, from what I've heard. If he would just get absolutely heated over smallest of things, you've got to have a certain team to run with that. I think there were some good years that Texans had with old William O'Brien Esquire, and I think it just ran out though. It takes a certain type of team to be able to rally around that type of a coach, I think, and to actually keep performing, especially in new age with a lot of the new players having more of their own personality, I guess. But he's actually doing a decent job down in college, so I don't think he's moving on up. Now, if we could get like a Chip Kelly or a Brian Hartline move on from Ohio State to come up, I would take one of those two potentially as an offensive coordinator instead from the college ranks, but that'd probably be where I go. But
I think Hartline would do some great things with you.
I would. That's been my one for years. Of if he ever moves on from Ohio State, would love to have him up in the league.
By the way, disrespected receiver, I felt like when he was in the league, very underrated. Was a 1,000-yard guy twice, two times. No one would have thought about that, though. I mean, Brian Hartline, you say that name, not a household name, but he was a 1,000-yard receiver with the Dolphins.
Yeah, so Jake, let's get back to. I want to ask you, what would it mean for you? These Buffalo Bills get past these Chiefs finally.
Well, you'll definitely see a grown man cry. There's no doubt about it. I'll definitely be speechless for a little bit, and then I'll probably cry. I probably will. It would mean everything. I mean, this is the biggest game I think I've ever watched in my entire life, like live. You go back 4 years ago to the other AFC Championship. Yeah, it was awesome. It's a great story. First time getting back there in quite some time, right? But it didn't have the same feeling as this one does. I think being beaten down so many times in the playoffs by the Chiefs and finally getting over that hump, God, it's amazing. Like, what a great feeling that would be. Like we did in the regular season to end their undefeated streak, right? Now to put the final nail in the coffin and then send our team to the Super Bowl with everything that's been said, all the doubt, all the hate, this, that, and other. Bills aren't going to even win the division, right? That was the narrative going into this year. It's a rebuild year. It's a retool year. Maybe they'll make the playoffs out in the wild card, 9-8. After all of that, and then we finally make it to the Super Bowl, that would just be, what a story, just incredible. No words, Mike.
Yeah, the same. The story's unfolding, right? Because the Bills have lost to the Chiefs like 3 times in the playoffs, but they get to the Super Bowl. Guess who's waiting for them? An NFC East team. So
yeah, right.
You're finally able to break through and beat the Chiefs. One, you get to the Super Bowl, and now you can reverse history and beat an NFC East team. Don't know who that is. If it's Washington, we get revenge. If it was Philly, okay, I'm worried about that one because if Philly was to beat the Buffalo Bills, it'd be the story would be 5 Super Bowl losses for the Buffalo Bills, all to the NFC East teams, every one of them. But the story's unfolding. It just feels it's right. And I'm going to say something. The 51-3 win. I was also a few years older than you, Steve, and watched that game, and it's special because it was our first trip, right? Our first ever Super Bowl. And Jim Kelly didn't have this nemesis. Dan Marino was great, but Kelly actually had, good stats against Dan Marino and actually had a winning record. And it wasn't the same as Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes. So while it will never be as close or as big to me as that 51-3, because it was the first time ever, it'll probably be, I mean, it's right there. It's close if we are able to win this game because it's Pat Mahomes and finally getting over that hurdle, man. It'll be special.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And Cody, listen, man, I know, what is it, the Texans? I think you're the only team now. Or is it the Texans the only team? No, I'm sorry. No, you guys have been in AFC championships.
Yeah.
What am I even saying? Yeah, no.
We have our own Chiefs struggles in the playoffs as well, though. We talking about Bill O'Brien and going out there with a 24-0 lead and blowing it, and then losing by like 30 in the playoffs as well. So we have our own struggles there. So to see somebody else, overcome that momentous defeat, and truthfully, if it happens, I mean, you're putting up. It's kind of always been you have a couple of teams, and then you have the Chiefs in the AFC. If Bills are able to do it here, come 48 hours from now or whenever it is, you'll have somebody else cemented up there with them. I fully believe, especially because people, just like national media is kind of turning as like the Chiefs are the heel now, like they're kind of turning into the villain that everybody wants to take down. So I think you'd have, and then with the brand of football that they play, it's not the offensive firepower anymore. I think Bills would be that next team that's like confirmed up there with the Chiefs. I don't think they're going anywhere yet. They'll still be up there each and every year, but Bills would definitely take that next step up into the mantle of being one of the AFC teams that you have to run through each and every year that you're going to be terrified of.
Yeah.
I think Blake took COVID off, didn't he? What does he say? Has not been to an AFC championship.
B-Bake. Yeah. So is that true? I thought I saw that. I'm trying to think back into history here.
Yeah. Never to championship game.
Okay. Damn, man. It's going to happen next year. Bills.
What do you mean? I'm confused on this. What do you mean? We have not.
They've never been to an AFC championship.
Only been to divisional round. Have only lost in divisional round. Have never won a divisional round AFC game.
Who are we talking about here?
Texans.
Oh, okay. You're confusing me. Like,
I was going to say, because
what's going on here?
I remember seeing that on the ticker, and I'm like, I'm going back in my head, and I'm like, I don't think they have been, but I don't want to. I also don't want to rub that in, Cody. I love you as a human being, and next year we'll see you there, and it's going to be great. And I'm excited about it.
I'm a very new age fan, so I don't have any of the history, the years of torment. I don't have any of that. I'm only in this for like 4 or 5 years now, so I'm very new. I don't have all that emotional scar damage built up inside of me yet.
All right, fair enough. You got to earn it then. All right,
help me interpret what Trickery is saying here, Jake.
Not all the Cardinals were in the NFC. Oh, that's true. Yeah, you're right. The Cardinals were actually in the NFC East back then. There were 5 teams, Cardinals being one of those teams. So weird geographically how they ended up in the NFC East. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. That's true, Trek Reviewer. Good point.
That is a good point. I forgot there was 15 back there.
Yep.
All I know is still the NFC East teams have been the ones that have ruined things for me and us.
Yeah.
And the whole town. If Brady gets a New Orleans job, I would fill the OC job with Van Pelt. What do you think about that?
I would love that. Another name too is like Frank Reich. Maybe talk about bringing him back to Buffalo. You talk about former Bills quarterbacks, bring him back as the OC here. That'd be kind of interesting. I think just with what Cody's been saying, I want to stir away from Bobby Slowick. I don't want him here in Buffalo. I think that would be I don't know enough about the situation there in Houston, but just by watching the games that I had watched, there was a noticeable drop-off in how that offense functioned. And it seemed like when things were going well a certain way, they wouldn't keep that momentum going, and they would try to go a different way. Is that right, Cody?
I mean, I think it was more of just a lot of not fitting scheme to what the team was giving you. I mean, the first year, whenever the passing game was good and the run game was bad, was because we had Dameon Pierce, who was a gap scheme runner, and then you bring over the San Fran zone scheme style, and the offensive line isn't built for a zone scheme offensive line either. So you try to bring that in, and then you have a bad running back for the scheme along with it. So the running game was awful. This year we have a flip because we bring in Joe Mixon, who actually fits the scheme, but the offensive line still struggles, and then they ended up regressing on the pass pro. Especially, they actually got better in the run game and then regressed on the pass pro. And then you just have so many times, like I know it's a common thing for people to criticize their offensive play callers of run, pass, but the amount of times you go run, end around screen, or just a screen and then a false start, and then you're at 3rd and 12 and it's CJ, please bail me out. Like, I just think there was a lot of Bobby Slowick riding on the coattails of CJ Stroud having one of the best rookie seasons until this year and Jaden Daniels. But I think there was a lot of national media hype about just how good CJ Stroud was. I think there was still, even in that rookie year, I think there was a lot of stuff that was wrong schematically that was overlooked, and it really reared its head this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Steve, good point here. I mean, like you said, the story's unfolding. Here's another
I love that,
sign
Steve.
right here,
Oh, yeah.
right? 10 inches of snow in New Orleans, where the Super Bowl's going to be. Come on now.
Right.
Making it
No
home
place like
already.
Buffalo. Yeah. Right.
Oh, here's B Blake. All the Bills need to know is that outside of a small town in Missouri with very mediocre barbecue, the entire human civilization, alive, dead, and not yet born, is pulling for the Bills on Sunday.
Wow. So couple digs in there. Let's digest this whole comment. All the Bills need to know is that outside of a small town in Missouri, Kansas City, with very mediocre barbecue.
Oh,
Okay.
boy.
This is a good debate because Texas guys, right? I mean, Texas barbecue versus Missouri / Kansas City barbecue, right? Love that. The entire human civilization, alive, dead, and not yet born, is pulling for the Bills on Sunday. I think I'm with you. Yeah, I don't think there'd be really anyone rooting against Buffalo, right? In this game outside of Chiefs fans. That would make sense, right?
It would, Jake. I have one. So I was at work today, and all my coworkers, they know how much I love the Bills, and they'll text me and they'll come up and talk to me. And they're all football fans. And one of my friends were talking, and he's like, "How you feeling?" I'm like, "We were talking about it," and he goes, "Man, I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to see the three-peat." And I said, end the conversation. I walked out of his office and slammed
I
the
can't
door.
do
said,
this.
"Oh, we don't need to talk anymore. I don't want to see the three-peat." But what would it mean? So we should talk about that. I mean, this is history, man. No one's ever done it. This team would be well on their way, and then Pat Mahomes puts another staple in that history book of being potentially the greatest of all time. Some of our friends, Jake, I know, Rick, he says it's already a done deal that Pat Mahomes is the greatest of all time.
It's crazy. Yeah. I mean, there's an argument that he's top 5 right now. I mean, what he's done in such a short time is absolutely impressive. It's none short than greatness alone, So, yeah, I mean, I think there has to be a conversation about that. But greatest of all time, I mean, let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Yeah, slow it down a bit.
Like this one, Marv, bring Marv Levy back. He looks great at 99. Wishing the Bills good luck. Thanks, KU1.
Well, his saying lives on with Buffalo. I mean, it's before every Bills game that we have a legend of the game at home games, at least, come out and basically introduce the Bills and say, "Hey, where would you rather be than right here, right now?" The famous quote by Marv Levy. Shout out to Marv Levy, 99 years old, 99 years young, Mike. Incredible,
crazy. And hopefully he sees this happen. Hopefully he sees the Bills get to a Super Bowl and maybe win one. Let's see here. All the Swifties rooting for KC. Oh, good point. Go KU1. That extends outside of Missouri for sure. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know if Haley Steinfeld can do it, but gotta bring some, counteract that a little bit. But you did see Caitlin Clark was there, right? Like
I
Caitlin
did.
Clark has brought me back to women's basketball. I actually love watching women's basketball, and it was because of her. What she did in college followed her into her first season. I did see her on Kelsey podcast. It comes across my feed. It's a good podcast. I check it out. I want to try to get some inside information. I will say this about Travis. He's one of the coolest dudes. Like literally, like when he lost that game, I mean, he had nothing to say, nothing but good things. A lot of guys might be sour, but he just gave props to the Bills and says, "I got to do a better job." And it was pretty cool. But anyhow, they had Caitlin Clark on there. I'm like, oh my God, now we got her to deal with. And she shows up at the stadium.
Yeah.
Not cool. Not cool. Not happy about it. He's not the GOAT, says Weston. Not yet.
Saying about Pat Mahomes.
Only 29. He's on his way.
That's right.
Steve says, "I'm a professional competition steak and barbecue cook, and I don't have the stones to make that steak."
That's awesome, Steve. So do you do this like freelance, or are you like part of a company? Or that's awesome. I started getting into smoking meats a little bit. I'm starting to dabble in that. So this is great. I love this. I might have to pick your brain a little bit.
Steve, maybe, we do some food shows on this channel. Maybe we can get you on and then we can talk about, just some basics, putting together a good barbecue. Next time I host some people, it'll be fun to have you on. Steve,
Yeah.
where are you located, by the way? Are you in Buffalo or where?
That's
He
cool.
said if we hosted this championship game, Scott Norwood needed to be the legend of the game. Oh,
Oh, I like that.
that would be
Yeah.
something.
I have a
Yeah.
Scott Norwood jersey, actually. I'm not prepared to wear that at any time soon, just because of the stakes right now that are on
Yeah.
these next couple games.
I travel every weekend. Nice.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool.
Texas barbecue might actually be number one after trying a couple times. Oh, look at Weston.
All right, Weston. Yeah, there you go.
It is damn good.
Oh, we
You-
don't. I've never been there for barbecue as far as Kansas City. I have been to Dallas and had fantastic barbecue out there. We did open a facility in Kansas City against my wishes. Let me just say, you know what? I keep joking. I keep telling them, we're building out the building, and we go through. We have a checklist of things that need to get done for the building, and I added at the bottom of the list, hang Bills flags in the facility. And I said, I'll take that responsibility on. It'll give me a chance to fly out there, put the flags up, get to try out that barbecue. I'm all for it. Can you imagine?
That is awesome.
Can you imagine the new, recruits come into the building first time day at work and they see these huge Bills flags.
Man.
You know what everyone said to me? No, Mike, we don't want the building to be burnt down. We can't do that. Can't allow that.
That's pretty good. How about this, Steve?
Yeah.
Number 2 steak cook
What?
in the world, live in Tennessee now and grew up in Jamestown. That is cool. We're in Tennessee. I'm going down to Nashville in a couple weeks here, so that'd be interesting to meet up
Dude.
with you, Steve.
Oh, let's pick his brain. Steak.
Right.
I love steak. So, Steve, you've got to be on some shows. There's some shows we can catch you on, man. I mean, when you're number 2 steak cook in the world,
That's
I
incredible.
feel like
Yeah.
there's some television show that you've been on that we need to watch.
Yeah, right. I'm big into those barbecue competition shows. So you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. That's what I'm thinking. I
I'm trying
love
to
watching
think.
those.
Steve Noble. Have I seen a Steve Noble? I don't know if I have.
I think I should wear a Peterman jersey. Says Tricker.
Oh, wow.
No.
No.
Tullahoma, 10 minutes from Jack Daniels. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. Awesome. So not too far from Lynchburg then. Okay.
Weston Suzuki, son of Brian.
That's great.
Yes.
That's actually the next jersey I have to acquire, Weston. Shout out to Brian Mormon. I know he's a Kansas guy, went to Pittsburgh State, ran track and punted and kicked there. By the way, Brian Mormon at halftime of the Ravens game this past weekend kicked a field goal, Mike. He still looked like he was in playing shape.
Nice.
Sad that, Pro Bowl punter, and probably would have made more Pro Bowls if it wasn't for Shane Leckler making so many Pro Bowls, Cody. But I'll tell you what, sadly, probably going to be remembered more for that Sean Taylor hit in the Pro Bowl.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Brian Mormon was fantastic, man. I have a signed Ryan Lindell frame jersey over around the corner. You guys can't see it. I need to partner that with a signed Brian Mormon jersey because those guys essentially got me through the drought era with the Bills. They were our best players and the most consistent at that. I love that.
All right. Good stuff. So Cody, I mean, Jake and I kind of gave our predictions. And don't worry, you're on our show, but you don't have to say the Bills if you don't feel like you have to do it. But I'm thinking, give us your prediction for the game and maybe a score prediction if you do those.
Yeah, I'm going to lean Bills here. I just think the offensive firepower is a little bit heavier. The O line can be a little bit beaten up. Let's get some Von Miller in there too as an A&M guy. Let's get him, get him riled up a little bit, and he can get after Pat Mahomes maybe even at his old age. But now score prediction, we'll go with a 24-17. I think it'll be a little bit lower scoring. I think the run game will definitely be on the Bills' side, at least early, if up. And I think if they end up pulling out a win, probably hammer home a little bit more of that down the stretch, third and fourth quarter. Then hopefully, may come down to a last possession play. Hopefully not, but I think it'll be a pretty tight game, but a little bit more lower scoring.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I mean, 24-17. We were talking on the show the other night that these two teams are very similar. They have long, sustained drives, and you may only get the ball 6 times in this game. So I love that. Love that. And I hope we're going to need you, Cody. Win or lose, Sunday night on the postgame show. Please join us. Either to help us with some therapy, Blake. I know that's not your specialty, but maybe you can join us for the first time after signing that big contract with us. And we're out a lot of money. Maybe you can join us. Either way, win or lose, we want all the people on that post game that we can have. It's either going to be a big party for a big therapy session, and hopefully we're done with the therapy sessions, Jake. We're done with them.
Please.
It's
I can't
time
do
to
it.
go forward. Let's get this thing done with.
Yeah.
Let's see. It's Blake saying, I can't pick Mahomes until he gives me a reason to.
That's fair. I mean, I get it. Yeah, he's the
it's
king.
tough.
You got to slay the dragon.
Bills
Oh.
34, Chiefs 23, a late Bass field goal to ice it, and Mr. Steve is going to New Orleans to watch his
Oh, I would
first-
love that for you, Steve. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
I would love that
Steve,
for all of us. We need that. I
me
like it.
too.
Yeah. How
Steve,
about Trek reviewer Rick Tutton? That's a hell of a name. He played with
Rick
the Bills in like
Tutton.
the 1990 maybe. That was a long time ago. He was
does
a
not
punter.
ring a bell. Was he a punter?
Yeah, he's a punter. He was with the Seahawks. I know that was like his main team. But yeah, he was decent. He was a pretty good player back in the 90s. Pro Bowler.
I
Great name.
misread. I misread Blake's. He says I can't pick against Mahomes until he gives me a reason to. Yep.
Yeah, that's fair.
100%. I think no matter who you are, if you've been a Bills fan, especially longtime Bills fan, you've got your guard up. You've been heartbroken many times, so you always go into a game with your guard up. But again, this is the best I felt, and I have felt better with this Bills team. No matter whether we get down, look, we got down 7-0, back-to-back games. Denver goes right down, scores, and then Baltimore goes right down, scores. But there was a calmness. You're like, oh man, is this going to be how it is? But you just know your team is going to come back and answer that, and they do. So let's see. He's got KC. Go KU 1. I got KC 27-21. KC defense a little better than Buffalo. 3-peat than Buffalo next year. We got a lot of our friends saying that. Hey, if we get our 3-peat, we're jumping on the Bills bandwagon. But yeah, go KU 1. It's going to be great. It's going to be great like it always is. And, good luck to you and Weston and Chad and any other Chiefs fan that comes in, maybe catches this show. What's this? He's just throwing. This is like Trucker Viewer, just like
Good names here,
you're
man.
feeding Jake. He loves this stuff. Just throws out these names.
I mispronounced his last name. I actually
Okay.
didn't know. I gotta admit, I actually did not know how that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
I was Tutton. But that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you guys live in Buffalo?
Cool.
I hooked up with Joe Green, Bears, Big Bear Barbecue Supplies in the Pew this year
Cool.
at a competition. Love him.
Yeah, I live in Buffalo. Steve, I'm like 7 minutes away from the stadium. I'm in Hamburg, so I'm a South Towns guy. I'm right in the snow belt. You know, it's actually snowing as we speak, and I might have to go snowblow again. So here we are.
Yeah, Steve. I was born and raised in Buffalo. I left for the first time in 1982 when I went to California, where my dad was stationed in the Georgia Air Force Base. And I went back in '84. Had a couple children there, lived there for a few more years, and then made my way back to California again because for job opportunity that I had. But grew up in South Buffalo in a little area known as the Valley. There was only one way in the Valley and one way out, and it was over a bridge. You had to come over these bridges to get into our little area there. They also called it Little Hollywood, Jake, and I say that's because that's where all the stars came from. I don't know why. Nobody knows. Everyone who lived there has no clue. Like even our parents don't know why they called it Little Hollywood. But love Buffalo. I was telling my friends the other day, there's no better city as far as people goes. Friends and family, and the food. It's the nicest place you'll ever live. But the cold, definitely tough for me. Definitely, it's Jake. We got down into the 20s the other day. I walked out to my car, and I'm like, "Oh my god! I just don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it anymore."
It was -3 2 days ago.
I know.
So, with snow. Yeah.
We were down in the 20s, even on the Gulf down here in Houston.
Damn.
Well, yeah, you guys.
I
mean, Dallas had some snow.
Yeah, we actually got even down where I'm at on the southeast side of Houston, we got about half an inch to an inch down here whenever it came through. But yeah, Dallas got a lot more, and then obviously the Bills' home turf in New Orleans had about that 10 inches picked up after us.
I love that, Cody. Keep saying it, man. Keep manifesting that, please.
We're gonna do some more food shows, Steve. I'm being serious here. If you're not shy of the camera, which I don't think you are if you're doing competitions. We got to bring you on here and give some people tips on how to cook a good steak. I don't know, Jake, how's your steak cooking? How you doing? How you do with that?
Pretty good. Pretty good. I think I'm not gonna say I mastered it, but I have a good handle on it. I'm always medium rare. Always medium rare. If you say anything other than medium rare, I gotta question you a little bit.
Then I won't say anything then.
Are you a well done guy, Mike? You're Irish.
I'm a medium.
Oh, a medium. All right. I guess.
Oh, he put a well on the he put a well on the end of it.
Well, or just medium. I can't do medium rare, Jake. I can't see it.
If it's not mooing,
the texture. There's just the texture gets me too. Gotta have it little. Like I think I say medium sometimes. My wife likes to say medium well, but it's got to be more than rare. I can't do the rare.
Wow. And shout out to my boss, Sam Violante, who's been on the show a few times. He does everything well done. Everything well done.
Oh, there you go.
That's how we grew up, though.
It's not bad.
Yeah. South Buffalo guy, too, Mike. South Buffalo. And something in the water over there. I've known several South Buffalonians that do it well done. I don't know what it is.
Well, we leave it on the grill too long. That's what happens. That's where it started from, right? Yeah. And you just like mom says, you better eat it. Else you're not eating anything at all. So we learned the well done stuff. I mean, that's how.
What about you, Code? You're a Texas guy, so I feel like
I grew up Missouri though. So
I know you're originally Missouri, yeah.
Small town Missouri. My family's definitely more towards the medium to medium well side, especially on my dad's side. Mom's side is coming over a little bit, but yeah, I'm on medium rare.
Love that.
I can do medium, but if you're gonna cook it perfect, it's medium rare.
There we go. Nice.
Hey Steve, do me a favor and send an email to nickelcitymafia@gmail.com with your contact information. Jake and I will reach out to you. We'll set it up, man. This will be great. This will be fantastic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, folks, felt good to get together. I felt like we had to have another conversation before the game, Jake. I know Sean and Brett will be doing the Ruthless show tomorrow, and they'll break it down all the details. So if you want to, we did our preview show on Wednesday. If you want to check that out, but the guys will break down the details tomorrow, give you all the latest, greatest news, break it down for you. But I felt like we needed to get together because we're 2 days away, less than 48 hours away from either our season continuing or ending. So I had to do the show tonight. Had to do the show.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I do want to give a shout out because Mike, listen, it wouldn't be a Jake Podger like fashion to not mention long snappers. Trek, we were giving a nice shout out to Dale Hellstray, who played with the Bills. But I want to talk about the two current long snappers for the Chiefs and the Bills. I think they're both the longest tenured players on their respective teams. James Winchester for the Chiefs. I think he's been there since 2015. So we're talking, this is his 10th season now with them. And then Reed Ferguson, my guy with the Bills, longest tenured Buffalo Bill as we speak, 2016 onward. So, incredible matchup between the long snappers this game. So look out. Starts with a snap, baby.
And Cody, thank you for joining us tonight, man. I'm telling you, love what you bring to our shows. I'm so glad that we met you. I forget how we met, Cody. We just listened in one day, one of our shows. You kind of chime in. I can't remember.
It was one of my dynasty leagues. Somebody in there was looking for a replacement, I believe, to fill in, and asked if I was willing to go on a camera. And I think they said they knew you.
Oh,
and,
that's right. That's right.
Linked up with that somehow. So
that's awesome.
Right.
Cool that happened.
It was a good friend of mine. It was I played years ago in a fantasy football league with him. And yeah, that's right. I was asking him to come on because he's a big Texans fan. He says, but my commissioner, I think he called you the commissioner. I think you're the commissioner of that league. He says, my commissioner likes Texas too. Little did I know he brought me gold here. I mean, Jake, this guy's fantastic.
He is. One of the best to do it out there. I'll tell you that.
Now that we have money, because we're going to be releasing Blake in the offseason and save some money, we're going to talk.
That's my brother Blake, by the way, Cody, not B-Bake. He's been calling B-Bake Blake all show.
This is Blake, B-Bake.
Yeah.
We got some money, so we're going to try to talk to Cody and see what we can do, get him signed up.
I love that. Yeah, I think we got to make it happen.
Anytime y'all want me, I can definitely jump on. It's always a blast. All that I'm doing right now is sitting here and grinding out rookie films. So,
I love
not
that.
not too much to take away from that. I don't need to watch more cut ups and offensive line films and just skip through 40 minutes of meaningless to get to what I exactly want. So anytime, and if y'all are doing anything Sunday and want or anything like that, yeah, let me know. I'll be around.
We'll send you that. So tell me, guys, what's your Sunday look like? Where are you going? What's your party look like? What's the plans, Jake? I'll start with you.
I'll be right down here in the man cave. I'm going to have Blakers. He probably will be coming over. My good buddy Ian, who's been on the show. And then I think Big Al's going to stop by. He can't really get too crazy. So I said, I'll keep you nice and contained in this basement. You got a chair to yourself. We're going to kick back, relax. Not sure what the food situation is going to be like just yet. Might make some buffalo chicken wing dip, the go-to blue cheese based, only blue cheese based.
Only blue cheese. Where are you getting the blue cheese from?
So we usually just use our the best Rudy's, in my opinion. That's the the grocery store blue cheese, if you will. Here,
I thought you might go to one of the wing places and purchase it from Barbell or something. Bring it home.
Actually, a great idea, Mike. I like that. But I also think it'd be kind of not right to mix it in with the dip. You got to have that plain, right? So maybe I'll just go with the Rudy's because that's more in bulk. Maybe we do some takeout though. I like where your head's at. Good idea. Some takeout wings. Yeah.
So Cody, what's your championship Sunday looking like?
I'll probably either be sitting here on my couch and watching it here, or I'll be over at B-Bake's house watching it over there with them. So
nice.
Not too much. I'm not too much of a watching football in public fan. I get too stressed out, and I
feel that.
I like being on my phone during commercials as well. So it gets a little bit of best of both worlds. There's very few people that I actually like talking football with because, I don't want to. It sounds a little bit pretentious, but I do feel like there's a little bit of a higher football knowledge that you deal with whenever you're talking with football people that you have to kind of control yourself around general public. So some of those conversations are a little bit tough, and I just enjoy being in my own head watching football or with the couple of people that I know can actually talk it.
You can only hear the words "get 'em" so many times. It's everyone that's you know right away. And it is frustrating. Cody, I get you. I know exactly where you're coming from. And then some people want to start talking crap about the one team, talking crap about players. It's like, you don't know your X's and O's. You don't know any of it. So, listen, you're entitled to your opinions. I'm not going to gatekeep. So I get where you're coming. You got to hold back a little bit. But when you're in a nice enclosed environment, a controlled environment where you got your boys around you or girls, whoever it may be, right? You got some good football knowledge. It's a beautiful thing. Absolutely.
Correct.
Jake, why did you make me think B-Bake was Blake all night? I mean, I thought for sure. I
was just letting it go.
I thought that was Blake. Look, I'm going to call you out here. You need to correct the old man. Like the brain, like I'm seeing B-Bake. I'm thinking that's Blake. And I'm calling him Blake all night. And just like, oh my God, that's Cody's friend, B-Bake. And like he follows Cody wherever Cody goes.
Yeah.
You guys do you do the podcast together?
No, I've got one of my guys out in my Dynasty Fantasy Football guys out in Arizona that we do the podcast with. And there's a couple of others that are scattered all around. But no, I haven't ever had B-Bake on a show. But no, he's definitely he'd be a willing participant.
Okay. All right. Well, B-Bake, all the support we can get Sunday, either to celebrate or help us out. Join us. Trek Review. This week I'm watching the game with my uncle, and next week watching the Royal Rumble. All right.
Awesome. I love it, Trek. Very good.
Steve says my next trip to 716, my truck will
there
be
you go. He knows.
Rudy's, Raised Tea, Bison Dip, and Labatt's Blue. All stuff I cannot get in Tennessee. You know what else you can't get very far out of Buffalo is boysenberry.
Or Loganberry.
Loganberry, sorry.
Loganberry, yes.
I'm thinking it's on that Loganberry. And
yep.
Yeah, when I went back there, that's one of the first things I had to have. And now they've made it like a wing sauce. Loganberry wings. I know Imperial has those.
Yes.
Let's see. Jake haven't cooked buffalo on game day.
You know what?
Wow,
KU,
dude.
not at all. Not at all. Listen, Buffaloes, they head into a storm, right? Chiefs,
that's right.
They seek shelter.
He did say weather's supposed to be good, so I do like that.
I know
like
weather is supposed to be good. You're right.
Will be a factor, but That's funny stuff right there. Let's see. So, all right. Well, everyone, it's been a lot of fun. And again, trying to keep my mind. So here's a question for you, Jake. I've been debating this, but the problem is I'm worried I might have to do the show if I do this up at my dad's. My dad lives about an hour and 45 minutes. I'm thinking
Okay.
maybe me and Jonah go up there, watch the game with them. You know, you got my dad who's watched the Bills at the Rock Pile back in the 60s, watching the Bills longer than I. Be kind of a great memory if we can get through this.
Yeah.
And then I like worry about if we lose. I got a 2-hour drive back.
It's a long drive.
And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe.
Press. Yeah.
And I've already kind of said if we win or lose, I'm probably taking Monday off no matter what.
Yeah.
So I could even stay longer there, and I would just do the show right out of his house. He actually does. He's got a YouTube channel as well. It's good stuff.
That's just it too, Mike. So you talk about what does it mean, right?
Yeah.
Family. Like this
Exactly.
is generations of Bills fans. Like I had a hard time of like even thinking of who I'm going to watch this game with, because if I was invited by other people to go out somewhere, I don't know if I'd want to do that. Like I want to be with the people that I've family, like people that I've grown up with, that I've watched Bills games with my whole life, you know? And while I'm a social person, I love hanging out with these other people, but for this game, it just means more. I want to watch the game with my dad. I want to watch the game with my brother, Ian, who I've grown up watching football with every Sunday since I was 5, you know? That's what it means. That's what this game means. So I love that you brought that up. I think you got to go watch with your dad.
Yeah, I'm definitely considering it. Of the Podger family, who gets the loudest in the games? If they're sitting in that basement, who's getting crazy? Big Al?
My dad. Yeah.
Right,
although if there's a big play, I'll get up and I'll go crazy too. I'll get rowdy. Yeah.
Big Al sounds like me 100%. So I get it. Back in it's old school. It's old school, man. I told you, like when Jonah, because Cody, you know the story you've heard, right? Jonah, my son, he's 12 years old. He likes the Ravens because of Madden football. You've heard that story. But he's also the best support that I've ever had. And Bills are his number 2 team. And he did tell me, the Bills win the Super Bowl, Dad. I'll make the Bills my number 1 team. So he says things like that. And so I was getting a little crazy. Like I was reverting back to old school Mike yelling, let's go. I was saying some things that I, kind of embarrassed that I was saying. So at halftime, I'm like, Jonah, I apologize. Let's rub it in a little bit, right? And he's like, this is what my son says. He's like, no, Dad, you be you. I like seeing you happy. So, how cool is that, right? How cool is that? So, and he on that 13-second game, I said, guys, I told the whole family, I got to go take a walk outside. He says, Dad, I'm not letting you go by yourself. So he walked. We went on like all around town, just walking, just talking it out. So good kid. What else we got here? I watched the 3 KC Super Bowl wins with my dad. Yeah. So you guys are talking me into it. I'm probably gonna have to do that drive, and I think it'd be great.
What a moment to celebrate!
It would be.
You got
well worth.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we can keep going all night, but let's just keep going around the clock until the game counts. This will be our pregame show. Everything. Can you imagine? We did something like that, like the 24 hours prior to the game.
I'll tell you what. We win that Super Bowl, I might have to stream 24 hours. I'll be bringing you on the road and everything. Yeah, it's going to be something. Yep.
All right, guys. Thanks again, Cody. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone in the channel. Remember, just at the very least, smash that like button for us. We appreciate it. Jake, always great, as always. And Cody, man, I'm telling you, we're working on that contract. We're going to send the first proposal over very soon. So take care, everybody.
Hopefully I don't Liam Cohen you.
What's that?
Hopefully I don't Liam Cohen you.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
There you go, yeah.
Everybody else, we'll see you Sunday for the post game. After the game, go Bills. Let's bring it home, everybody. Let's go.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
All right, look at that.
Oh, I love it.